And so with that, I'm have the honor of introducing Edward Vidari, who is, of his many roles, the publisher and managing editor of FlowerSong Press, our host for this evening, and our special reader for tonight. I know we're all in for a special treat, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy a night of poetry and community building. We hope to see you at the next event in September. Let's take it off, Edward. Off to you.
All right. So thank you so much, Avery, for that. And thank you all that have joined us, that have registered, and are being a part of this event. It's very special. Um, so, Essentially Poetic Reading Series is a curation of poets, artists, essayists, novelists, educators, and everyday individuals who's deemed their voice essential, their work necessary, and their compassion for community building contagious and inspiring. This space is free of judgment and hate, and is a space for writers, readers, and admirers to come together to listen and uplift one another in a creative, poetic, and intentional online space. Essentially Poetic is dedicated to amplifying essential voices throughout our world. By creating an online environment, we can reach beyond geographical borders and barriers. The essential voice echoes loud and translates into creativity. Thank you for joining us for this first installment. And I'm going to start off with this was originally something I wanted to do to kick off my book, sort of like walk. And I thought, I don't want to just do this by myself. I want to have other people join. I want other poets that I admire and love their work to, to come along and read with me. The next Essentially Poetic Reading Series installments will be four other authors or artists that will be here to talk about their craft and read some of their work. So I'll start, and then I'll move on with the next poet. Okay. You might hear dogs in the background because I have 7 of them, but they are outside right now. But the neighbor's dog, I guess, wants to be one of the bombers that comes in and disrupts. But I'll try to speak loudly. I hope that it's not too, um, um, you know, too many, pauses in between. But it's, technology. We just hope that we can get through it. So thank you again for being here, and thank you for being with this Essentially Poetic reading series through FlowerSong Press. The first poem I'm going to read is titled God Is. 1. God is an open wound, a kung fu movie and celestial sicario. God made our present leftover road cotton and Graco droppings. His sandals are of leftover human skin from the factory of suicide rock stars. Today he wears the kneecaps of Janice to match his UFO belt. God is unfazed at 3 p.m. Whispers to me from 6 feet distance. God lays naked on steel surfaces with his long hair covering the shadow of men. God has a sticker on his chest that reads, I voted. He's nonchalant. He has a twin. She does all the good work. 2. God is your God's God, yoga and breathing. She is the breath of life. Latex gloves and exhaling the sun over mountains. She is the blamed, the curve, the torn Achilles heel. God is a beat poet, the coming strain, the big question, the control, the last minute mind changer, the finger on the gun, the safety switch. God is the ultimate filter, the event planner, the street cleaner, the thing in the sky that was there and then was not, the ventilator, the death toll. She knows the body's coming. 3. God is language, a lisp and stutter. God has Down syndrome, the autistic genius, the only child. From the other side of the tracks, have you ever thought of God as old? The wrinkled hobo and toothless smoker, the girl next door, the square jawed bad hombre. creator of a new earth between ellipses, growing peonies on hyphens, goddess soil and water. The trans angel, the monk making booze, the anorexic gargoyle breaking off a ledge, the movement in the painting. God's number is 8 digits behind iron bars, the noisemaker, the vuvuzuela in purgatory. Guilty, God is doing time. 4. God is a found poem, in exile, an unbelievable truth, an asteroid belt crash, mammoth, that sound, that silence. 5. God is tired of rising on Easter. God is trying to figure out the diameter of this pandemic, writing ghostly hymns for the dead. Did you know God was the celestial laureate? Skywritings, the sounds you hear in the morning of birds and wind chimes, stars and barking dogs. Did you think the sound was just commotion? God writes those sounds into existence every day. I know when God is in a Motown mood, a hippie rock, or just a lounging jazz mood. And when it's too quiet, they'll get the better of him. God likes to drink with me. I listen. This one is titled Los pájaros saben. Los pájaros saben. They perch on wires, looking down at me with sorrow. Los pájaros saben. I whistle a tune. The kiskadee turns away. Los pájaros saben. The moon is sliced in half beyond the western skies. Los pájaros saben. The mockingbird orchid pandemic. Los pájaros saben. The woodpecker's Morse code is the answer. Los pájaros saben. The nervousness in the way my wrists toss birdseed. Los pájaros saben. They know of the dying clergymen in Italy and locusts in Oman. Los pájaros saben why the river feels so familiar to drowning children. Los pájaros saben that a poet stands below them in search of words. This is a short poem that I wrote. I was sitting at a Starbucks at the mall. Um, my daughter wanted to go to one of the local shops here, and I told her I'll wait here and have a coffee. And I was people watching, right? And I saw him tugging at his parents' clothes, and both of his parents were on the phone, just to they were busy on their phones, and the kid was trying to get their attention. Subtitle Generation Z. They both stare at their phones. Kid tugs at dad's shirt, then mother's dress. Neither budge. Kid sits on floor, picks up a snake, eats the snake, then throws up. Kid stands up, begs for attention, sits back down, picks up a gun. Gun in mouth, pulls the trigger. Parents stare at each other, get on their phone, download an app to give them instructions on how to cry. Today I salute the homeless for his slow walk in this Texas inferno in deep thought, because anguish cripples our speech at times, clenches all openings. I salute his hands, his black nails and ashy fists, his cracked wrists that look as if they'll fall off if given a handshake. I salute her face, the history in her eyes, the forgotten kisses on her lips, the hills of his nose, cheeks adored, the experience of a country's burden. I salute his legs, her untracked miles, his chiseled calves, her broken knees of prayer. I salute her heart, his home, her love, his safegarden, her hope, his wealth, her family, his thankfulness, her beat, all pumping in song. I salute the homeless with a sign, with a smile, with a cup, with a moment, with a pause, with my time, with a truth, with an exchange, with an understanding, that maybe one day I'll fall to my knees and ask him to please forgive me for my sins and hope she can save me. I returned to love LA. We landed on time. The pavement outside the small airplane window was wet, and from where I sat, I could almost smell the petrichor settling in on La La Land. I've missed my city, a morning at times. The smog, the homelessness, the crime, the struggle, all of it. The cholos and cholas, the lowriders, Whittier Boulevard, City Hall, and all its suited criminals, the immigrant culture, the graffiti, the ghetto bird, the flatfoots, the taggers, the pinche traffic jams, the murals, the scent of gunpowder. Sadly, hasta eso. The second I stepped foot, the streets gave me the chisme on the corner of Hustle. I saw her and fight the school teacher holding up a strike sign. Oh yeah, she was like the Statue of Liberty, like a Virgencita Guadalupana, como una flor, like la Emma González, like la Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, así mero. She smiled for my camera and continued her grito on the corner of Mission and Yellow Caution Tape Boulevard. My mother hit 70 years of age and still dances on Wednesday afternoon. My chiquita viejita, always busy, still making the best coffee and desayunos. I stare at her watching a soccer match on television. I can almost feel my dad next to her. He left his costumbres for her to carry. She misses him. The flat on Gabriel Garcia Marquez knows it. Some things have changed and some stay the same. They moved my gente con gentrification. The mariachis are still hustling on Boyle, strumming and tuning their guitarrones. The borrachitos are still stumbling in and out of the bar with the velvet curtain, except it's now a puerta de madera there on Calle Primera. Corner of shank and choke are the huddled men that lost hope, fists closed around the bottle of memory, glossy eyes not to be mistaken with tear welling eyes, glossy like distance. The fathers of the barrio, the forgotten ones, the addicted ones, the lost ones across Hollenbeck Lake. Across from wounds and addiction are the women that are robbed, hair chopped short with blue veined breasts that leak earth milk, long fingernails to climb and detach tomorrow's suicides. The women of wounds raising children, goddamn children of the barrios, birthing more children in safe zones, trying to rush into menopause and divorce, slicing the bully in the gut, breaking away from the man, breaking away from the plan that the man can with no plan. I return to Love LA, introduce her to my daughter, whose hazel eyes are like a California sunset, whose skin is bronzed by ancestral blessings, whose voice code switches with the morning whistling of Santa Ana winds, who only yawns from Texas to El Centro de Los Angeles. I return to love my LA with a new set of eyes, translating poems in the shape of birds on power lines and river water under the bridge tracks pushed across the country, where homeless women push shopping carts filled with garbage stanzas, leaving poems in my mother's palms, where palm trees sway with morning traffic. I throw my city home away on the five paws to breathe on the 10 heading west. Until I return, I will hold my breath. I will hold it long enough to remember I never left. Read one more poem and we'll move to our next reader. What if Joy Harjo knew the secret to healing? What if Joy Harjo knew the secret to healing and horses carry poems and songs, songs, songs? The river gropes the ankles of running steed. If a horse looks up to the sky, what forgiveness does it seek? As a child, I wondered what language was spoken in their brain, slices through their hooves, A man painted horses in reds and purples. The man set the stallions against the New Mexico sunset. Is this what Joy Harjo meant of them cutting into the edge of the sky? What strength, what speed, what if it's running? Joy Harjo knew the secret to healing, and horses carried all the poems in their throats, songs of native lands, songs, songs, songs. You can never bury the innocent. Sooner or later, their blood will call. Sing through cheering greed. I stopped to watch glory in a brown body and a black mane somewhere in between my move from California to Texas. I was already feeling the heat of the border as it grazed quietly and thought, patience, trying. The man who painted horses moved to Honduras without the color green. Now all his horses fly, fly, fly. Thank you. I'm going to now introduce our next guest, our featured one of our featured readers. His name is Michael Kleber Diggs. Michael Kleber Diggs is currently working on a memoir about his complicated relationship with lap swimming called My Weight in Water. He is a 2023 through 2025 Jerome Hill Artist Fellow in Literature, a poet, essayist, literary critic, and arts educator. Michael's debut poetry collection, Worldly Things, from Milkweed Editions in 2021, won the Max Ritville Poetry Prize, the 2022 Hefner Hates Kansas Book Award in Poetry, the 2022 Balcones Poetry Prize, and was a finalist for the 2022 Minnesota Book Award. His essay, There Was a Tremendous Softness, appears in A Darker Wilderness, Black Nature Writing from Soil to Stars, edited by Aaron Sharkey, Milkweed Editions, 2023. His poems and essays appear in numerous journals and anthologies. Michael is married to Karen Kleber Diggs, a tropical horticulturist and orchid specialist. They are proud of their daughter, who recently graduated from Purchase College, UNY, with a BA in dance performance and a concentration in composition. Thank you, Michael, and welcome.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. And Edward, that was radiant. I love those poems. Avery, everyone at FlowerSong, thank you for hosting me. Barbara and John, I'm looking forward to hearing from both of you as well. I'm going to read 4 poems tonight. They're all new. I'm starting to write toward what I hope will be a second book, writing a lot about my family, thinking about that, both about right now and also about when our daughter arrived. And now that she's flown the nest, thinking a lot about my experience of being her parent. In the first poem that I'm going to read, I make reference to an acronym NED, which stands for No Evidence of Disease, which is a post-cancer diagnosis that you're kind of hoping to have. There's no indication of cancer. And this poem is called Middle-Aged Rock Star. Middle-aged rock star with your tricky Achilles and your janky ankle, with your plantar fasciitis and torn meniscus, with your lower T. You were always kind of soft. Softer now as days get harder. A message awaits you in the portal app your specialists use. Bad news? Bad news elsewhere encrypted behind a password-protected dock delivery device you pay for so your tax pro can say you'll be fined for delay. At home, tall paper piles grow taller. Your retaining wall wants work. Your soffits suck. Your fascia are falling apart. Call your mom, Michael. Fulfill that PayPal ask from your child. Get up early when your cats mew for food. Stay out late so your dogs don't have to wait. Then take different doses of melatonin. You and your beloved butts to each other, far apart on your California king. Apply steroid cream to the crack in your left heel. Feel your back start to relax. Think about sleep. Nice next spring. Insulating your attic. Wonder if there still will be NED. Formulate questions for the visit with your retirement guy Wednesday night. Ask about your Social Security, Roth IRA, 401k, required minimum distributions. Oh, yeah. Your friend Nikki turns 50 this Thursday. Turn the lights on. Get down on your knees. Try to find your Sonic Youth shirt. Edward, I only have 2 dogs. So I sent a text to my wife and I'm like, we need to level up. We need 6 more dogs. We need at least 6 more dogs. I was recently invited to write a poem for a nature anthology that's going to come out next year. And my dogs, like, they just had to be part of any nature writing I'm doing, because so much of what I see in the world, I see because they bring me to it. Earlier this year, I finished a sestina, which is a particular kind of poem. It took me about a year to get it to where I wanted it. I kept having to go back to it and go back to it. And when I was done with that, I wanted to write a villanelle. I don't know why. I don't know why I struggle. This is a villanelle called Como Park Woodland Outdoor Classroom for Ziggy and Jasper. We stroll the grounds and stop at every tree, at every chicken bone, each new cone flower. Their noses lead to everything we see. I'd be asleep if it were up to me. Still slick with dew, the city park seems ours as we stroll the grounds and stop at every tree. Perils persist, real possibilities. I scan the grass for things they can't devour. Their noses notice things that might harm me. Sometimes we'll spot a fox, surprise a bee, find trash, broken glass, have a sad encounter on our daily rounds to check on every tree. 3 times we've come upon wild coyotes, sensed before seen through canine superpowers. All of them have smelled what I'm soon to see. They stare. We stare. There's no anxiety. Milliseconds transform into hours. We stroll the grounds and stop at every tree. Their noses lead to everything I see. I'm going to close with 2 poems that one is about when our daughter was born, and the other is about when she was very young. And thanks again for having me. I greatly appreciate it. I have to share, I'm also reading to you from a classroom at Hamline University in St. Paul, Minnesota. I was scheduled to teach tonight, which is a classic way of saying I was double booked. And I could not find a way to send a note to Edward to say I goofed. And so I asked my students if they would indulge me, and they've been kind enough to do that. So there are 5 people with me in the room who are also hearing your poems, and I'm grateful to them and for all of you for being here tonight. This is a poem called Afterbirth. Not the last lesson, the penultimate one. A session focused on fathers and partners getting ready. We watched a film. A mother giving birth. The gown, the legs, the crown, the cry, labor. The pushing and breathing and screaming, the surprising and seemingly sudden arrival. The sweat, the miracle, the umbilical cord cut, the baby whisked away in a part I didn't know about, had never seen. What happens after birth? The placenta, the fetal membrane, the blood, the mess, everything malleable and slippery, dark, large, and wet. I remember exactly the room where we gathered, the low light and all us parents becoming our vague sense for what, how the lighting there seemed dim against the brightness I'd know 2 weeks later in our birthing room, how the film was a lot like watching a childbirth and not at all like watching a childbirth. How dimensions change everything. There's what's true and what's real. How the film prepared me as much as film could for what it feels like to stand by a mother as she becomes, by breathing and screaming, as our baby emerges and breathes in and screams. What it's like to stay in a room and try to remember to breathe through the push and the panic, the shock and the slick, wanting to scream for my family with my family. I don't remember the teacher at all, what her name was, what she looked like, but stay in the room, she said. When they take your baby away, you'll be tempted to leave, but stay in the room. The nurses have a job to do and you'll be in the way. The mother has more work to do and you are needed there. And in this staying is a lesson worth knowing. Some reflections. I held her body close to my chest and hoped she could hear my heart, that it would be familiar and unique. She had arrived in a flash after breastfeeding class, a night I first learned nature can be complicated. She was early, coated in meconium, strangled somewhat by a natal noose, almost 6 weeks early and not yet strong enough to nurse at her mother's breasts. I was made to help. I was advised to wear loose shirts, taught to wash my hands, then draw pre-pumped milk from a warmed plastic bag into a sterile syringe set to 16 cc's to push any air out. Taught to attach a thin tube from the syringe to my pinky with surgical tape. Taught to place my finger right by my nipple, show her the source of nourishment. Bring her slowly close to me, like a mother would. I helped a little sometimes. I pressed the plunger a little sometimes. I wanted to be sufficient. Even then, I took care to take it all in, our days on the couch, the living room we had, and the house we owned, 2 houses in 20 years ago, Sundays when her mother was away and we shared our daddy-daughter days. I made sure to remember nesting her in a nursing pillow, how it curved in on itself like a sleeping doe, what it felt like to bring her to my chest, dust falling slowly around us, visible in sun rays streaming through antique glass. The way we shimmered in that light. The goal was to make myself unnecessary, help her gain strength enough not to need me. I recall wanting that time to stay and go away. Complicated. Complicated. I made sure to remember the first time I saw her see herself in my irises. What it felt like to see myself as myself, but also myself as someone else in her eyes. How I sensed both of us expanding like pupils. And how I too became suddenly full, enough to ache.
Thank you, Michael. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you to your students as well for listening in, and um, and that's awesome. Thank you so much. Up next, we have Barbara Jane Reyes. Barbara Jane Reyes was born in Manila, Philippines, raised in the San Francisco Bay Area, and is the author of Gravities of Center, Poeta en San Francisco, Diwata, To Love as Aswang, Invocation to Daughters, Letters to a Young Brown Girl, and one of my notes on Pinay Liminality. And I hope I pronounce um, the words right. These books are from different publishers, Archipelago Books, editions, American writers and artists, City Lights Publishing, and Paloma Press. She is also the author of 3 chapbooks: For the City That Nearly Broke Me from Aslan Libre Press, Cherry, Portable Press at Yo-Yo Labs, and Easter Sunday, Hippolyta Press. Poems and essays have appeared in Asian Pacific American Journal, Chain, Hambone, Maganda, Marias at Sampaguitas, Meridians, Miss Magazine, North American Review, Notre Dame Review, Poetry, Prairie Schooner, San Francisco Chronicle, Smithsonian Asian Pacific American Center, South Dakota Review, Southern Humanities Review, the New York Times, World Literature Today, and elsewhere. Andrew W. Mellon Foundation Fellow, a recipient of the James Laughlin Award of the Academy of American Poets, the Global Filipino Literary Award, and the San Francisco Press Club Journalism Award. She received her BA in Ethnic Studies at UC Berkeley, her MFA at San Francisco State University, and she teaches in the Yukenko Philippine Studies program at University of San Francisco. Barbara, I've been a huge fan of your work for many years. And, it's an honor to have you here joining us today, and I'm excited and can't wait to listen to your poetry.
Thank
Welcome.
you so much, Edward. I appreciate it. And Edward and Michael, so happy to hear your poetry. I feel like just filled. So I'm very happy about that. And John, I'm looking forward to your work as well. So thank you for having me. Earlier, I did ask Edward if he had any particular poetry requests. So I will start with a poem from To Love as Aswang. And I guess the only thing that I would like to start with is that in Tagalog mythology, the goddess Anagolay is the goddess of lost things. So this is to pray to the goddess of lost things. Help me to find my innocence. I may have dropped it on the bus last week when I also lost my cell phone and a notebook full of poems. I keep dropping things. I forget where I've left things. People keep taking my shit without asking. Maybe I've forgotten what I've lent out. I can't hold it together. I'm trying, so help me to find my pride. Some punk-ass bitch stole it from me, I'm sure, when I was at the mall. I just turned around for a second. I was looking for my mother. I was updating my Facebook. I was blinded by something that must have been important. I was shoulder bumped by strangers. I was robbed. I searched all my pockets, my skinny jeans and piles of laundry, my shopping bags, my crumpled receipts, and it just wasn't anywhere. Where is my dignity? Where is my credit card? Where are my self-esteem, my perfect size 2 body, my medication? Where did I leave those? Where is my lipstick, my car keys? Where is my one true love, my very own happily ever after? Where is my voice? Every time I speak, some man, any man, always interrupts, and every time I speak louder, he shouts. He claims he knows far better than I what I need, what's good for me. Where is my fire to burn the filth from his tongue? He wants me to fit in his pants pocket. Where are my knives? Where is my backbone? Where is my wishbone? Help me find my voice, because some white woman keeps yapping at me as if I should drop everything, as if I must listen. She says she speaks on my behalf. Don't believe her. She says she's my friend and my sister. She's a liar. Where are my manners? I seem to have lost those too. My mother taught me always to say please. Please help me find her. Where is my compass? This GPS keeps leading me away from all that is clear and cool. Help me to locate my center. Where are my manners? My mother taught me also to remember to breathe and always, always give thanks. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to read a little bit of a longish poem from Invocation to Daughters. They did this really beautiful series, that just started a few years ago, and I'm really very pleased to be part of City Lights. And this is a poem after a whole photojournalism series by the by the artist Isaac Cruz Bacani, who took all of these beautiful photographs of Filipino women who were overseas workers in domestic work in places like Hong Kong. So this is Prayer on Good Friday. In rising, we will restore your life. In judicial review, in hard luck, in domestic work, in detention cell, in penitence and in procession, in sign and craft, in the street, in death row traffic, in gift and token, in prison wage, in innocence, in hope, in dropping out, in broken marriage, in single motherhood, in attempted rape, in housekeeping, in social emergency, in mercy plea, in pending execution, in legal appeal, in global outcry, in rejected application, in abandonment, in dying, we will destroy your death. In dying, we will destroy your death. We cannot do and we cannot know. We cannot promise, we are told, in penning letters of clemency. We hold the banner of the innocent. We exhaust all words. We gather. In the streets, we are calling, in trust, and we are broken, hoping we will be found. We find conviction in flight, in psalms of justice. We wait and we wait. We learn we cannot trust not even our own kin. In our hunger, we are sacrificed. We die for your sins. We rise again. We die for your sins. We rise again. We are objects of your choosing. We proceed in splendor, glamour. We are produced by you, fashioned by you. We act, but only with your permission. We spread your goodwill. We relish prestige. We thank you. We thank you in our God. We shine with opportunity. We stand tall. We pose our bodies for your liking. We smile because it pleases you. We are budding, fragrant. We are fragile. We suck in our bellies and our cheekbones. We are breathless, hungry, and innocent. We always say yes, as we must say yes. We always say yes, as we must say yes. We place ourselves in your catalogs. We are good girls. We are pure in the flesh. We pray to find companions like you. We are God-fearing. Blessed are the meek. We practice your tongues. We hold our own. We speak only when spoken to, softly. We do as we're asked. We do as we're told. We promise to keep pristine your domain. We uphold the sanctity of the sacrament. We work hard, we save what we can. We will always place our family first. We sacrifice, we suffer in Jesus' name. We lay down our bodies as we must. We lay down our bodies as we must. We eat and sleep only when we're allowed. We suffocate, we do not know mercy. We avoid eye contact. We bow our heads. We praise to the Lord. We shall not want. We are unseen, so many of us hoping. We examine our scars, all we have absorbed. We are burned, we corroborate wounds. We dress our wounds, we seek legal aid, we deliver our testimony as we must. We help, we nurse, we shelter each other. We seek comfort only in ourselves. We are poor and simple in your eyes. We commit everything to memory. We commit everything to memory, every lie and categorical denial, every non-consensual push and thrust, every parcel of human traffic, every plea deal and violation, every curse, every inventory bruise, every one of us entrapped, itemized. Every damn day we fight and we pray. Blessed are we, poor and persecuted. Blessed are we, exiled, exhausted. You who profit from our hunger, you who fatten yourselves on our hunger, eye for eye and fracture for fracture, it is written by our steadying hands. It is written by my steadying hand, this sorrowful song, this whispering salve, this narrative of knuckled punches, this raised fist, it is my own. I stand and I speak, though my bravery wavers, and I stand tall though you tower above me, and I speak, I grit my teeth and I breathe and I close my fists and I hear my voice, this soothsaying, this hollering me, this lyric making me, now this dazzling we. We howl, we witness, we testify, we stand firm and you cannot break us. We are raw nerves and we are fire. We rise and in writing we restore our lives. Okay. Wow, I haven't read that in a while. That was really heavy. Thank you for listening. And I will close out with two letters from Letters to a Young Brown Girl. And I don't know if you can see it. I love this cover because it's got this beautiful young lady who has got the most gorgeous, enormous, monstrous bat wings I've ever seen. And thank you, Edward, for also holding up your copy. Dear Brown Girl, what if nobody reads you, but every young, hungry brown girl who crosses your path? Please let them be visible to you. Their eyes are so wide, they have rarely ever seen a woman like you before. They see you speak like you have forgotten the fear, the harm speaking brings brown women like you, daughters of spilling bodies and sutured mouths. They never knew brown women like you were real, speaking head held high, speaking like you know, because you know, and because you know that you know. They are holding your words so close to their bodies, the way we were all taught to cradle a newborn babe, like they were taught to hold God's words close to their hearts. They are breathing in your pages. They can't bear to remember what it was like before they found you. What if they are the only ones who ever read you? That'd be so bad. Dear brown girl, what if I told you that you don't have to do as you're told? Yes, you can cut up the script that they made you recite by heart with your cut up tongue. Yes, by those people who wanted you to be their lace-trimmed pink silk ribboned heart-shaped box. Yes, they wanted you to let them open you up. They wanted to split open all your little smooth, sweet pieces, to mouth you, to melt you, as if you would just let them. Yes, you are allowed to open, twirl your butterfly bladed words. Siete cuchillos, I see you, sister, your swift knives concealed under your lace-edged silk ribbon skirt. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Barbara. I really hope that everyone here is enjoying the readings, and I'm putting the links to Barbara and Michael's website. Yes. And last but not least, we have a new friend of mine, John Compton. I just got your book Just like a glare of a minor god. John Compton is a gay poet who lives with his husband Josh and their dogs and cats. He is the poet and press. Micro press. Uh, should be out soon, I believe, or is out already. Blacked Out Borderland, in on what Cacon speaks about with writing in the present. You could check out more on all of our poets from today, all of our featured poets, on the link that I put up there on FlowerSong Press site. And so we thank you for joining us.
Thank you for letting me be here. I hope you were done. It froze up on me. I don't know if it froze on everyone. I hope I didn't interrupt you. Thank you for letting me be here. It's such an honor. I'm so excited. Like you all, oh my Lord. Like to be in the presence of y'all is just phenomenal. And I'm very excited. And I'm gonna start crying. And yeah, I'm just shocked and honored to be here. So I'm gonna read from my newest book, um, um, Blacked Out Borderland from an Exponential Crisis. And it came out this month, and she's still shipping them because there's lots of pre-orders, and so she's still trying to get them all out. So I think by the end of the week they should all be out if they're not already out. But my poems are shorter. Um, And so the first couple poems I'm going to read are from section 1, which I call the block poems, and they have no punctuation. They look like a square or rectangle, and they're all to just like push you and flow. That's what I had in mind. So I'm going to read the first poem, and these are untitled. My hand breaks a piece of tinder, a root grows inside my fingerprint, a splinter hangs from between my nail. The point of it reminds me how far I've come from the womb and how I'll grow something once I've died. The splinter, now a part of me, like blood, it fastens to my body like a bone, and to remove it causes sadness, but also pleasure. I moan and am relieved when it falls, but it is not a tree, but a memory of what grew, nesting of thoughts without eggs. No flower, no bloom, just a briefness before the dirt swallows it. Yet the earth will mouth us all in, her throat, her tongue will take our hair and teeth and make us mannequins. And that's that poem. And I'm never ready. I just randomly pick poems because I'm horrible at planning. So this next poem. She pauses and waiting, the lake waist high, the water touching parts she forgot had existed. She slips her hand into the murkiness, wondering if her hair ever felt like this. She knew she used to be beautiful before age broke her body across the floor like a chair. She rocks herself, her feet moving between the silt. The ducks revolve around her like moons before settling in their landing. They search her. She understands she is not a tree, but could she just raise her arms like branches and feel love for a moment, a foot further, an inch deeper? She remembers how to heal a wound with a band-aid before the children were too old to not need her. She breathes, she breathes, she breathes, while everyone else has finished letting her exist. And that's that poem. And thank you. And I hope I'm not reading too quickly.
Real
Okay, good.
quick,
I have the issue of just speed reading. And this next one, I love this one. Um, I don't know. You'll see. Here it goes. They said, all your poems are queers. I replied, no, all my poems are gay. They love you even though you're homophobic. They are yet to understand hate. They haven't grown in this world. They are still innocent. Give them time. They'll cut your throat. And that's that poem. Oh, all right. So my poems tend to be more sad and dark. I'm not saying they're dark. They might not be dark, but I always say I write the bad out and keep the good in because the page can handle the bad, and I enjoy what goodness I have. So, oh Lordy, I forgot to look at the clock. Okay. And I talk way too much, so I'm a rambler. Um, Here's this poem, and it's also untitled. Um, we sit, glowing logs break down, her knees smolder, the smoke trails her voice, shapes her words, my hands warm on her skin. We tell stories around her bonfire hair, threads of flame dance in the wind. She savagely suffocates. We wait patiently for the last ember not to holocaust the field. And that's that poem. And I was raised with women, so I'm all about women's strength and also about how they're treated in the world like they're absolutely nothing, and it's very irritating. So so yeah, so I got a lot of poems about women, but I'm gay, so it's not like, you know, straight oppression or anything. No. Um, so this next poem, I had parvo, and it went around, and I lost so many of my fur babies. Oh, also, I have 4 dogs and 2 cats, so I need to get like 4 more dogs so I can be number one. But they're all quietly hanging out in other rooms, being lazy. But this is a sad poem. It's called "There is a Death in This House." My heart has burned my throat since our first child died, the second, the third, the fourth. 8 days of blood, vomit, moans. 8 days of begging to whichever God would listen. Death would leave one and stroke the fur of another. He plants a smell the world should never replicate. The stench buried itself into my hands, a pungent odor of rot. I bleached my skin to rid you, yet my nostrils became familiar with your scent. With our fourth suffering in my arms, the release of your pheromones, we knew we only had moments to say goodbye. And then the exhale, like the previous, and the one before that, and the first of the last was gone. Her head limp, sagging over my forearms, our tears heavy as atomic bombs, wanting to destroy the world. I hold what is left. I tremble in this house full of death. And that's that poem. And then this next poem is also about that. It's called "Before We Understood That Death Was Here." We thought you had a stomach ache. We thought it would pass. We thought we could save you. We never thought you'd be buried below the grass. We thought you'd wake one morning and return to your normal self. We thought we'd get you back. We never thought you'd die at the vet. We thought we'd watch you grow, play, and give us laughs. We never thought you'd sleep and wither, frail, like a vase full of petals, vibrant than an empty shell. We thought for too long. We thought you into the ground. And that's that. And Thank you, everyone. And the next poems are so I love C.A. Conrad. And so this collection try to be they're all, they write in the present. And so I try to take that. And so did I do it 100%? No, of course, but I did my best. So the next poems, what I did was I watched a documentary about a poet. Um, and then I would just write a poem. And the poem doesn't necessarily go with the poet, but it was what, came to me. And so the titles are the poets' names. And I'll probably mispronounce the last name of this poet. Arthur Rimbaud, that poet. What heirlooms hang, bleh, what heirlooms should I hang from my ears? What pieces of poetry? Pages dingle, loose ink scribbles down my neck, blue violent against my skin. And I'll read two more poems. I hope that's okay. They're short. This next one is one of my favorite poems, and it's called William Carlos Williams. Pulling the red wheelbarrow before breakfast, full of plums, wheels squeak through the house to the operating table to inspect how the knife carves through their skin, how each piece cleaves free. Rather, hunger subdued me, so I ate every last one, leaving a glazed plate as the note. Thank you. And this last one is I hate war. Um, it's dumb. So this is a war poem. Before they war. Write about how many bullets can fit into 7 mouths. Start a war. Cut holes into their bodies. Get used to seeing graves. Children fit inside easier. Blood drains, making floods. Wash evidence. Pain is too easy. Dismember torsos. Remove arms and legs. Rewrite each name into each stone chest. Decapitate the heads. Place the eyes face down. There is no need for seeing. Crying is faint echoes of wind. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much. And I know that we communicated through Twitter, right? But right now that
Yes.
I see you and right now to I think I read with you at AWP, if I'm not
Yes, at
mistaken,
AWP.
at a house where the
Yes.
dog was there.
Yes. Joe Nasta's house at
That's
AWP is
right.
where we read and met originally.
That's right. That's right. So cool. Thank
Yes.
you so much. You have can you um or link us to your books?
Yeah, of course. You want the one you talked about and the new one? You want both links or just the new one?
You
You're breaking up. So here's the new one. I don't mean to be rude. Autofill. Oh, I can't autofill. I don't know how to do this. Give me a moment. I'll get it all. Just give me one moment. I'm not very with technology.
just go ahead and put a link in there when you can. That's cool. Is there anyone that would like to ask any of the poets a question? I think Michael had to leave. He's in class. Myself or Barbara or for John, we've got we've got a few more minutes that we can hang around and talk with any of you. If you want to go ahead and let me see here. We can just if you want to like raise your hand or just unmute yourself, Avery, if they can unmute themselves, that's cool too. Or questions in the chat. I'm sorry.
Yes, anyone can unmute themselves. They're more than welcome to do that.
And again, I want to thank everyone for being a part of our first installment, Essentially Poetic. Um, this is monthly reading for community building through Flowers. We had a little mishap at the beginning with getting in, but I think we had about 50 people in here. So it's cool. That's a really good showing of supporters and you know, people that want to listen to the written word, right? So if you don't have any questions, you're off. If you do, go ahead and let's see if I got anything here on the side. From Amanda Hayden, I would love to know if there was a moment of when you knew that you needed to write poetry. This is it. I love hearing how people find this passion. Do you want to take this one, John, and then Barbara?
All right. So